On December 27, 1892, Livingstone and Biddle College, now known as Johnson C. Smith University, played in Salisbury, North Carolina, with Biddle winning 5-0. Over time, HBCU football has evolved. HBCU football's popularity continues to rise. Millions attend games each year and millions more watch on television. The HBCU bands provide some of the top entertainment in the country. Over that time, some of the best players to ever play in the National Football League played at HBCUs. Every Monday through Friday on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast, national radio and television host Donal Ware takes a look at what's happening in HBCU football and talks with coaches, players, administrators, and media about the season. Make sure you join the conversation on social media now. Here's your host, Donal Ware.
This is the HBCU Football Daily Podcast for today, Thursday, August 3rd. I'm Donal Ware. Hope you enjoyed our podcast on yesterday and hope you've been enjoying these podcasts, however you may be getting them, whether you're watching them on the Box to Row YouTube channel or on boxtorow.com and iHeartMedia.com. Well, going back a couple of weeks ago, MEAC had its media day in Norfolk, and I had a chance to catch up with the head football coach of Norfolk State, Dawson Odums, in his third season. And of course, for the Spartans, a disappointing 2-9 season. Definitely looking for a turnaround in 2022. It was life after their superstar quarterback, but got to figure that the quarterback's going to be implemented, better grasp of the system. I know Odums really tried to emphasize to his players that, hey, we really need to get into the weight room. He would really emphasize that on the MEAC coaches calls on Monday on last year. But anyway, this is Dawson Odums in his own words, as I had a chance to catch up with him a couple of weeks ago at MEAC Media Day.
Always enjoy chopping it up with Dawson Odums in his second season as the head football coach at Norfolk State. We're here in Norfolk at the MEAC Media Day. He joins us here on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. Always good to see you, Coach Odums. What's going on?
Well, it's great, man. I think anytime we at Media Day, football season right around the corner, so the excitement goes up.
No doubt. You've been back in the Carolinas, man, lately?
Always try to get home as much as I can. That's really the good thing about being in Norfolk State, close to home, so I'm able to go a lot more than I used to. Parents get older, so try to see them as much as I can and be in their lives as long as I can. We ain't gonna have them forever, so but I really think that move really helped me and my family and get a chance to go to North Carolina a little bit more.
You know what I found out more recently, but we do this countdown to kickoff in North Carolina, where the North Carolina HBCUs coaches come together. As a matter of fact, we did it last Saturday. 8 of the 9 coaches came through. It was a great event. But I just found out, so Trey Oliver and Adrian Jones were on the central team. Sam Washington, when we did it a couple of years ago, all 3 of those head coaches were there, were really cool. But what I found out more interesting is you were on that team. I had no idea. You played with those guys at North Carolina Central. I didn't know that.
Yes, those guys were.
What was your real? They didn't call you Dawson. They called you maybe by your government name.
Oh, Tyrone.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, they all call me Tyrone. So it's but I tell people all the time that that was the best years of my life, and I enjoy. I was a little older than those guys, so mentors to those guys when they were coming in as young guys. And when we talk about leadership, you don't really know the impact you have until you look back. But now I can look back at those guys and say, I played the part in Adrian Jones' life. I played the part in Trey Oliver's life. I played the part in Sean Gill's life. And look at what North Carolina Central and us being a part of each other's lives has done for us. And for that, you just take your hat off. And that's the same thing that I'm trying to do for the young men of Norfolk State, is play a part in their life to help them guys understand that football's going to end. But you're going to be a father a lot longer than you go play. You're going to be a husband, hopefully, a lot longer than you ever played football. And this community needs you to be a servant a lot longer than you play football, and try to help them guys grow in those areas.
Some may characterize last season as a tough season, maybe. How would you characterize last season?
I just think it's like any other season. I think you got to go through it. Okay, the fall don't last long, the spring don't last long, the summer don't last long, and there's no two springs that are the same. There's no two summers that'll be the same. It's just a part of the journey you got to go through, and I think you have to know that prior to you taking the job. Like, I really knew that the hardest year we were going to have was year 2 because of the talent and the way the team was structured and the time frame in which we got here. I knew that we made some decisions to win year 1, and now year 2, those freshmen got to play. Now those freshmen are sophomores, so year 3 won't be as difficult as a talent standpoint or a depth standpoint to where we got to play, 23 freshmen. So now you're going to see more sophomores and juniors and seniors on the field, sprinkled in with a few freshmen. So now I think you'll begin to see guys that's playing that have a little bit more experience as it relates to getting ready to play games.
If I remember correctly, and I was when Norfolk came to Greensboro, I was at that game. You played but I think you may have even played a sort of a 2-quarterback system last year, if I'm not mistaken. Is that this going to be the same deal? And who on day 1, if you had to say right now, would be your starting quarterback?
Oh, no, I don't think that's going to be the same system. I think what we'll have is one guy to go out there to represent us as a starting quarterback, and then 2 and 3 are very capable of going in and being the starting quarterback. That's the biggest difference, is that if people know me, know that we've always had depth at quarterback, and we haven't had that until this year. So we've had a starting 21 and an average guy behind him in 21. We had a starter in 22 and probably an average guy behind him. So, but discipline is the key at that position, and I think competition increases your discipline because you want to play. When you know somebody else behind you has just as much talent as you, and that the only deciding factor is going to be discipline, it raises your level of play.
So who would be that starting guy?
Well, we got about 4 guys that's going to come to fall camp and be in competition for it. We haven't named their starter yet. Okay. But I think the guys kind of know who those 3 or 4 guys are that they're going to get the reps in fall camp.
Okay, and who, just name, you don't have to, just who are those guys?
Well, you got Otto Coombs, who's the guy that was here returning. You got Ruben Lee, who's here, came in as a JUCO transfer. Cameron Sapp transferred in from Florida A&M. He's here. You got Isaiah Whiteside, who was a redshirt freshman last year. Nolan James is a true freshman. Was here. Then you got Mark Wagner, who's a transfer from Virginia. So those are the guys that I think will be in camp and vying for an opportunity to be our starting quarterback.
Speak to some of the other offensive guys you're expecting big things from in 2023.
Well, our O-line. Okay. I really think before we even talk about a skill guy, our O-line has to play really dominant. And if they do, our offense is going to be special. I think what we do over there is challenging to defenses. They really challenge you. 53 side to side, end zone to end zone. We got speed and we got depth. Now, if we can stay healthy and our quarterback can play really well, I think we're going to be a team to be reckoned with. We're going to fly under the radar because nobody really knows much about us, but I'm okay with that. This is preseason picks. It means absolutely nothing. But I think when we get to October and it's settled on the field, we hope to be the last team standing when we get to November.
How strong will your defense be this year?
I think our defense is going to be lights out.
Okay.
I think we've improved our speed. We improved our depth in the secondary, and we improved our standpoint of knowledge. I think our guys are older and they have a better understanding. And then we made some coaching changes. I really think the coaches that we've added are very knowledgeable of the game. I like the fact that they're good people. I think each time we make a hire, we think about the person. And that's made our coaching staff a lot better. That's made our relationship with our players a lot better. And you're starting to see that. And if we can continue to build on that, because we're bringing in a wealth of knowledge when it comes to our coaches that are coming in. And you can see the teaching and understanding. And I'm excited for our staff and our players. I'm excited about 2023.
Yeah. And then lastly, the schedule. Can you speak to the schedule?
Labor Day Classic. You shouldn't go no further. It's Labor Day weekend, 30,000 seat stadium. Everybody off on Monday. What else is there to do? Right. They come to Norfolk. The weather's going to be great. We can't control it, but you got to think that time of year the weather's going to be great. They got 2 o'clock kickoff. I mean, you can tailgate before the game, after the game. You ain't got to go work Monday. I would love to see this campus have 2 homecomings this year. Labor Day Classic is homecoming 1, and then our regular homecoming in October. I think that'll do wonders for our university, our program, the excitement and atmosphere, the exposure. That's really what it's about. Is that when you start having flyovers and the game is packed and you're able to start making videos and you start seeing that and the TV channels, the news channels start running that, people start saying, I want to go to Norfolk State, and that's what Labor Day Classic is all about.
Well, Coach Odums, we appreciate the time in this 3rd season as the head football coach at Norfolk State, joining us here on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. Good luck to you and the Spartans this season, Coach Odums.
Always a pleasure. Behold the green and gold.
So I hope you got something. You learned a little bit of something more, maybe that you didn't know about Dawson Odums, the man, but what his expectations are for Norfolk State in 2023. He knows this is the year that the Spartans have to get something done. Hope you enjoyed that conversation with Dawson Odums. Again, don't forget to tell a couple of friends about the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. Watch us on the Box to Row YouTube channel. Listen or download the podcast at boxtorow.com as well as iHeartMedia.com. And hey, while you're on the Box to Row YouTube channel, subscribe, because it's not only the HBCU Football Daily Podcast, but their conversations, our radio boss conversations, right? There are other conversations there on the website, or excuse me, on the Box to Row YouTube channel. Also, give us your comments, as you've been doing, on the Box to Row Twitter page, which is, of course, at Box to Row, BOXTOROW. Talk with you tomorrow.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. You can also listen to the podcast at boxtorow.com, iHeartMedia, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to get your HBCU football fix on Box to Row with Donal Ware each weekend on the radio station near you, and on SiriusXM on HBCU, Channel 142, and on ESPNU Radio on SiriusXM, Channel 84. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Box to Row for the latest in HBCU football, and don't forget to tell a friend.